Hello, amigo. Eagle Gardens 1 on Instagram. And this is episode 828.2. And of course, it's Monday. So this is, of course, a Weed Nerd World. Hopefully, you guys have had a great weekend. Started your week off well. Looking forward to hanging out with some of the Weed Nerds this Monday evening. Refresh this, get my chat. Got a few popping in today. I got to get an invitation out to one of your favorites. It's going to come and hang out this evening. Chat's popped out. Cheers, modern genetics, martial artists. Automation is freedom. This one will be a good one for you. Drewzilla, how you doing? All right, let's see if I can get my invite out to what I did. What you working on? Mr. Smiley popping in. It's a money scheme. They don't want us using green. They don't get no cut off someone selling dick to you and me. I know I'm brutally honest, but I keep it real, saying chemicals kill and cannabis heals. That's why we grow. And this is why we What up, Smiley? What you doing, man?
Just waiting for the fucking Weed Nerd World.
Right on.
Got all my chores done. The girls are looking good.
Right on. I just did a little bit of my gardening work and get it all done. Well, I guess I did got most of it done.
Yeah.
Yep, transplanting up some, what's that, Mac Stomper?
Oh yeah.
Yup. Looking good. All right, that's the high Mac. Is that what you call the high Mac?
No.
The Mac Stomper times the Sky Cuddler?
No, that's the Sky Stomper.
Sky Stomper. There we go.
Yeah, the high Mac was the purple punch to the. The high punch was the.
Right on. Either way, they're on their way up. They're in solo cups these days.
It's exciting, man, that you got plants going again.
Yeah, I've actually got a few going now. Finally found out who gifted me the Eagle Knievel, which was Seymour Cuts.
Nice.
We'll be a little bit back and forth tonight. I'm still cooking dinner. Got some pork chops, it's Brussels sprouts, it's beans going, man. But I do have a surprise guest tonight. I think he's coming. I don't know. This is one of those ones too. I don't know. This is one of you guys' chance. I know you guys have had a lot of questions and stuff like that. But Mr. Joe Petri, hit me up a little while ago. We had the missed opportunity the other day, and he wanted to do another one earlier in the day, and then I get home from work today and start looking at the cannabis phone, and he had sent a message there, and big news. So I said, well, panel show at 9. He's like, I'm ready. Send me the link. So I think Joe may be popping into the Weed Nerd World tonight.
Oh, yeah.
See what he's got for big news. I know he's got a lot on the, from when I talked to him the last time, he said he had a lot of stuff on in the coal there, fire earns in the fire, but maybe some more has developed since the last time I spoke with him.
Yeah.
Cheers, everybody in chat. I've been neglecting. I see the red boxes floating by there, but I'm laggy on the keyboard this evening.
I've still been saying I noticed that the plants seem to flip a lot faster.
Oh yeah,
It's one of them where you're just like, wait, what? What? Holy shit! You know, they already got buds going.
seemed to take a couple of week off anyway, or process.
Yeah, I bet it was always a good, between 14, 18 days, something. I don't know. But yeah, now they're like day 8. It's like, what the fuck?
What was it plus? Trying to clean up my tray a little bit. I gotta fucking.
I think that's cut right off the whole flowering time altogether. And I think it cuts down the stretch too.
Oh, sorry. I always forget about the time zones. Like everybody operates on my time or some shit.
Yeah.
He's like 9 o'clock my time. I'm like, oh shit, no, 9 o'clock right now.
Yeah, we're live, buddy. Yeah, what part of the world's he in?
He's in, I believe, Oklahoma.
Oh, okay, so he's in the U.S. I was thinking he was like
He's an hour back right now. Temporarily. I'm not gonna like give up some of his news there. I actually got a comment to our nice compliment today from Sunshine Farm Daydream, who sent me a link to my own video, my own hash video. And was like, dude, you need to put this on Instagram. He's like, this is gold. He's like, man, I've sent this link to hundreds of people in the last few years. I'm like, it really made me feel good. Really, it did.
That's cool.
I'm sure you get it quite a bit. You post up a lot of garden stuff these days, and you get there, yeah, what you do, you get some little gratification, or you know what I mean, from some of the stuff you put out. It helps somebody or whatever. Kind of, yeah.
Shit, no, man. You post up a picture with a plant with one funky thing on it. Someone gonna tell you about it.
That's true.
My plants have been like funky lately too, but I think I got it squared away.
Yeah, it's all good. It's just what I like. I'm saying, I've said before too. A lot of us at one point thought or think, or we are. We throw around that term master grower or whatever. Even I've said the same thing about like master carpenter. At one point, I thought I could call myself a master carpenter, but man, there's always a situation or something, you know what I mean, that you haven't got yourself into that you're gonna walk away learning something from. So if you've learned something, or you know what I mean, you haven't completely mastered anything. And I don't think that, with that being said, I don't think any of us really know it all. We should have at least, room for improvement or speculation or something.
Plus, unknown shit happens, Just sometimes you respond to shit that happens.
Mr. Fuck says no such thing. I agree, Mr. Fuck. No such thing.
As well.
Oh man, did I? I keep going back and forth with my fucking roller. Yes, I still use a roller. I take it in the room and I leave it in there, and I come in here and I fucking in there. Looks like I'm hand and rolling. Man, I smacked my finger good yesterday. It's been a minute since I done that. I don't know if you can see that.
Ouch.
Fucking doing flooring and using the tab block. Fucking got a nice crank on it. I'm like, oh yeah, I ain't done that in a minute. Yeah.
Makes me tingle. Jessica got herself peeling a potato too. Took a big chunk out of the peeler. Yeah, it wasn't pretty.
Well, you guys, as promised, Mr. Pietri, if you guys have wanted to log in and hang out with Mr. Joe, now is your time. If you have questions, now is a good time for Joe.
Hey, there he is.
What's up, Mr. Pietri?
What's happening, man? This was easy. I've been a little ill, and I'm recuperating from a hernia thing, and so I'm a little not mobile for a while, but I'm doing better. Things are happening with me. I've uh, I've really upped my game. I've joined this. I have a team now, and that are marketing and producing my seed. And so it's called Seed is Art. And we're handpicking only the finest specimens using hundreds and hundreds of thousands of seeds to find the best ones. And that's what we're promoting. I have a whole new line of pure indica and sativa F1s that I brought from India and Pakistan and Afghanistan myself. And so these guys Seed is Art have won 150 cups. So they have they work in two states where they have 4 dispensaries and 4 farms in Colorado and Michigan. And so you'll be hearing a lot from me. And they've also you know partnered up with High Times, which also has 3 states that they're working out of, and they're all going to be promoting my seeds because somebody left a message on my Facebook page and said I was the only one left with real seeds that are not GMO, or it's there. This is the only place left where you can get seeds of weed that'll get you high. I don't know if you've been to a dispensary lately, but the quality of seed commercially available is complete garbage. So the only people who are doing good are the ones that are growing their own and know what they're doing. So it's really changed. Seeds is Art, and I'm hoping that this company takes over my farm, and they'll be using my farm to produce. So this will be the 3rd state, and it'll be my first legal license for commercial license, and I'm going to be doing it my own strains. Of course, I've got a THCV line that is off the hook as far as medical strains go, you know. And so it has like a full spectrum CBD and THC. It doesn't have THC, it has THCA and THCB, and it has CBDA, CBDG, THCV. It has this whole combination of medical plants, and I'm offering that whole new line. But the newest line I'm working on is my F1 indica sativa hybrids that I have some stuff that I brought back like 30 years ago from Afghanistan. I got some stuff from the Hunza Valley. I've got some Bada. I got some nice stuff there. And so I'm making F1 so that they finish faster and that there'll be, the robust hybrid vigor that you get when you inbreed, when you breed like a landrace sativa from India. and then you breed it to a landrace sativa or indica from Pakistan or Afghanistan or any of the Yarkun, the whole East Turkestan area, right? Any of that stuff, you put them together, you get a hybrid vigor that's unbelievable. Somebody just sent me a picture of some F1 that were one of my new lines, which I call Paonia Purple. It's an F1 hybrid, and the guy says, I've never seen vigor like this in a plant before in my life. Look how they're only like a week old. They couldn't believe the size of the plant. I says, well, that's what happens when you have an F1, a landrace indica and a landrace sativa, and you breed them together. That's the only point where you get F1 hybrid vigor. I had one kid tell me, I bred my Mac, and I bred to my runt. Now I have runt Mac or some shit, and it's F1. I said, no, man. What you got is a poly hybrid. You don't even know what an F1 is. And that's what's killing here in Oklahoma. It's a race to the bottom. It's been like that in all the legal states. The only ones that have survived are the ones that have good backing and good training and good management. The guy, I'm going to get a soda. 1 minute.
Cheers, Smiley.
The guy I'm working with, Chaz, he's been running this company, and two companies actually. One company, but two different states. And he's the CFO of the company, and he's been running a legal business in Denver since it became legal. And out of all the people that started in Denver, he's the only one that survived. And so, like, when I say to you that it's a race to the bottom in Oklahoma, everybody and their mother who had some land thought they could make $1 million growing weed. So everybody lost their asses here, dude. And I had one guy to explain to you, and just to get past the idiocracy. All right. I was doing a show in Tulsa years ago, a few years back, and this guy says, well, I want you to talk to my grower and teach him your techniques. And so I said, okay, I have to be polite. I had the guy come over. He brought this kid over. The only thing he's ever grown is in a garage, and so or in a closet. And I asked him one question. I have these things that I do with people. That way I ask them a question, and then they answer me, and then I know what level of grower these people are. I don't look for growers. I look for real farmers that can grow me a lot of food as well as great weed. I want farmers. I don't want a guy that thinks he's a grower because he had a subscription to High Times. Forget that. He comes over and he brings this kid over. It was a nice kid, and I asked him, I said, well, what kind of lighting schedule do you run your plants on indoors? He says, well, I run them 24 hours in grow, and then 12 and 12 at 12 and 12 in flower. It was running them 36 hours a day. I mean, if he tried to replicate that outdoors, they would need 3 suns.
We were just talking about the 12 and 1 before you pop on. Smiley's currently running it, and we were talking about that transition into flower, that 12 and 1 actually taking a good week off the flowering process.
Yeah, especially if you have the correct flower schedule. See, when the Ed Rosenthal, all these people, you go into grow shops and they tell you, they say that they teach you 18 and 6 for veg. 18 and 6. If you try to replicate that outdoors, you'd need 2 suns. When you're growing indoors, you're having direct light on your plant. When you're growing outdoors, if you're growing on the equator, you get 7 hours and 45 minutes of direct sunlight from sunrise to sunset, because there's an area where the sun is shaded when it's coming in. The only time you get direct sunlight is in the middle of the day, from 10 o'clock to maybe 4 o'clock, 6 o'clock. So in a northern climate like Afghanistan, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Afghanistan, they have northern climes. So their plants flower faster, and they don't get the direct sunlight that you get on the equator. The most that you get in a northern climate, say New York, right? Colorado has the same latitude and longitude as Afghanistan. The most an indica of direct sun, of direct light it gets in a day from sunrise to sunset is 6 to 6.5 hours. Yet they're putting you on your plant, telling you to put it on 12 and 12. But if you have an indica or an indica dominant plant, by 6.5 hours, those tanks are full, the plants droop, and it goes into photoperiodic protection and shuts off the CO2 intake. But those bitches who sell you the equipment, the gas, and all that shit give you schedules that make you spend your money. Okay, so this kid tells me 12 and 12 and 24 hours. And I looked over to the investor. The investor was here in Oklahoma. You have super rich people that they're still spending their great granddaddy's money, and everybody else poor or working their asses off. Oklahoma. I'm not impressed with this state at all. I look at the investor who's like, this guy, all he's ever done is spend his great granddaddy's money. And he's going to get it because he has all this land. He's going to grow tons of weed, make millions of dollars. And I talked to the guy. I looked over to the investor. I said, man, if this is your grower, you're going to lose your ass. And that's what he did. He lost his ass because he didn't know anybody. He didn't know, he wasn't a grower. He was a bon vivant. He was good at spending his great granddaddy's money, you know. But that's what's happening here in Oklahoma. Everybody was taught wrong. Ed Rosenthal gives shows here, Imperious shows, where he teaches the retarded techniques. So you go here, and you meet all these people that are super growers, right, in their minds, and they don't know how to grow. And they're getting the price bottomed out. When the price bottomed out, in some states like California, indoors went down to $300 a pound. Okay, so when it bottomed out, it separated the wheat from the shaft, or the rice from the chaff. You know what I mean? Really separation is going on, and really weeding out people that really shouldn't be in the business. Not only that, the business today, people send me messages. You're the last one left that sells real seeds that are not GMO and get you high. You know, you're the only one left. You're the only one left. Yeah, I've been doing that from the day one. I'm not in that skunk number one gene pool. I'm in my own gene pool. That's why I've had my shit DNA sequenced. DNA sequencing was a great thing that they did at Philo's laboratory. They had a galaxy where you could see the connections and the purity of all your strains and where they came from. And somebody paid them off and took that off the internet because somebody who had a lot of money didn't want anybody to be able to see the truth. You know, had one kid come up and Everybody tries to impress me. It's really difficult in the weed business, and you know. He says, we got skunk number one, and we found it. We got it in England. It was brought over in the 1980, whatever, a whole story behind it. And I looked at him, and I sold skunk back then, and I got it in Arkansas from what was that place where the gangsters hang out? I forget. It's Hot Springs, Arkansas, where Capone used to hang out. That was his hideout when he was hiding out. That's where he'd go. And Oni Madden, a New York gangster, ran that whole area for like 40 years. That place. There was some great weed there, and that's the first time I saw the skunk. And it just. It was out there for a while, and then it disappeared. Then I figured that the reason that it disappeared is because it was so pungent. It was like having that kind of weed was like a walking bust. If you had it in your pocket, it smelt. You had to have it triple sealed in your pocket, So in Oklahoma, you have all these so-called experts, and so really, people come to my house, and they come to my house because they want to find out some secrets, and I don't know that I created the 12-in-1 paradigm to break through Dutch marketing fraud and Dutch control of the cannabis industry and information, and it worked. And the reason that it worked is because I did this. Direct aid to all growers. Joe Petri, 12-1, advanced growing techniques. And in that technique that I taught, you see your results in 1 day, and in 30 days, you see the savings you get in your pocket, and your plants are bigger and faster. And that's the reason that I'm talking to you today, and you know about me today, because that paradigm that I created broke through the information control out of Amsterdam. The Dutch are the worst thing that ever happened to cannabis. They in that you go to I have the link as the dynamic map of skunk number one, and you see how the Dutch have gone out and gone to every country in the world and introduced skunk into the varieties, so that when you go to the Congo, you think you're getting Congolese, and what you're getting is a Congolese, but it has skunk in it. That was a major disaster for cannabis. That was one of the worst, other than prohibition and the making of Mother Nature illegal, and then selling you concocted copies of it, right? Of Mother Nature, chemical concocted copies of Mother Nature. That the next worst thing for cannabis has been that Dutch scene, man. When I go to Jamaica, I want to smoke Jamaican Cali, that lamb's bread. When I go to Colombia, I want to smoke some of that Punta Roja, that gold. I don't want to smoke, AK-47 or Dutch Hope, or the Dutch Hope that they were going to be able to put their genetic marker on all weed and say that somehow lay claim to it medically. It's a major game when it has been going down on cannabis. The Dutch, they've controlled, tulips, nutmeg. They genocided a whole group of islands of where they grew nutmeg, where they first grew nutmeg, and they went there, killed everybody, took over the nutmeg industry, and they've been doing that for like 300 years. So, the Dutch wanted to do the same thing to cannabis. They wanted to make cannabis like tulips, But I always love to tell people, I could have taken a bribe. They wanted me to sign a non-disclosure agreement. If I would have not signed the non-disclosure agreement, you would have known nothing nothing about cannabis unless what they wrote about and told you. You had nobody here that would tell you the truth, and you had nobody here that experienced it throughout that 60 years of its history here in the U.S. It's been longer here. You know, I have a picture of the Parker Davis, which is now Pfizer, of the factory that they had on the Detroit River, and that's where they made cannabis tinctures, and the cannabis tinctures were the most popular medicine of all time. They had huge vats that looked like Al Capone brewery. They were so huge, and they actually had off the Detroit River. They could have their ships come in Detroit River, come down, and unload their weed, and then process it at that factory there, where they processed literally millions and millions of pounds. Up until 1947, people don't know, man. Up until 1947, weed was legal or under prescription. You know what I mean? When the English, when India took back India from the British, and the empire ended, that's when the illegal weed stopped. In Kashmir, when I was in Kashmir, I spoke to an old rug dealer, and he said 1947, when the English signed that treaty and they gave India back to India, that was the last caravan that we ever saw from Yarkund. Yarkund is in eastern Turkestan, and in that area, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Samarkand, all those people, those were prime. That's where indica comes from, and that's the only place in the world, like in Kazakhstan, where they have like an area where they grow weed and where it grows wild, the size of Rhode Island. Okay, and it all grows wild. And I'm going there next year. I'm going there in the fall for the harvest there, and I'm going to go up to Dushanbe. I'm going to go up to Samarkand, Yarkand, all these areas. I'm going to spend a few months. A few weeks in each area, and really research that trade, what was once a legal trade. In fact, it was totally legal in Nepal up until 47, when the British left, when the India took back its country and there was no more empire. Nepal used to sell weed in beer guns and Nepal guns, and they used to deliver to the British there under an agreement that they had, So up until the English Empire, with the demise of the English Empire, then weed became illegal. Up until then, it was taxed. You could go to every temple in America, in India, and Pakistan, all over Asia, and buy weed at the temples. It was legal. When the British gave up their empire, they made everything illegal, and then they try to control everything. And that's all they've ever done. It's like it's a mess nowadays, because you talk to these people, they're all experts. They don't know anything about weed. The new corporate guys that are coming in don't get high. They don't even smoke weed. They only care about getting it on the shelf. The kids are all confused. And people are all confused because they've been taught all these wrong techniques. Feminized seeds, and you don't have to go to the trouble of finding a male. And autoflowering, you can grow those year round, and they start seed to finish in 2 months, and all this shit. They don't realize that what they've done is that they've mixed the wrong genetics into the weed. So you buy weed at the dispensaries now, and it only gets you high for like 15 minutes. If it gets you high at all.
Out of chopping at the dispensaries and get them growing. That is the question.
Yeah, not only that, it's so funny because I go all to the dispensaries just to check out to see whether they're selling my shit, or whether they're, what's being sold and what the prices are. So I've been to several here in the area where I live in Oklahoma, checking it out. I walk into one dispensary. The guy says, I said, man, you got all this stuff. He says, yeah, and none of it gets me high. That was his introduction to me. And I said, oh, I said, I guess I won't buy any of your weed, dude. And then he tried to give me some hash that he thought it looked like resin, and it was resinous, but it was missing, you know, it was missing. It was used when you use bags, and that whole bag system that they created. I wrote that article, Bubble Bags, Biggest Consumer Fraud in Cannabis History. You lose 30% because the bags are too porous. So you get all the really good small terpenes, all the flavonoids, all the male, all the pungency, the odor, taste, aroma is all left in the bag. Right? So you get a thing that they say, oh, this is hash. So everybody thinks that they're making hash nowadays. They have no fucking idea how to make hash. Right? But a friend of mine has come out with a new, it's called electrostatic sieving technique. Right? And when you use this equipment, it takes out as much as nearly 99% of any vegetable matter is out. It's the purest you've ever seen in your life. When that machine, I'm hoping to do a deal with Highland High Farms, and they're going to take over my farm here. They're going to bring in one of those machines here. It makes the finest quality hash you've ever seen. Right away, the bag business is completely finished. A rosin business completely finished. People who are doing dabs, what do they call it? Shatter, all these kind of techniques. All that stuff will go out the window because the hash that's being made is so pure it just melts in your pipe.
If I remember right, you said you were going to come on one time and show us how to make some good hash.
Yeah, now I have the machine that I have right here. I just used it. I've made some. I got some here. Let me get it.
I'm on it. Yeah. Cheers.
Cheers.
I've been using this electrostatic machine. It processes, it processes, 2 pounds an hour. 2 pounds an hour, and completely clean. The cleanest I've ever seen.
So with weed being legal these days, do you think we could almost do like a fucking Pepsi challenge? Sit out in the parking lot of one of these fucking dispos and be like, okay, let them see the
It's so fucked up.
You're going be like, okay, which one's dispo and which one's homegrown or caregiver weed?
In Colorado, you can't smell the weed. You in some places like here, you can't smell the weed. It's already prepackaged. They tell you, well, here, this is runt, pink runt. I mean, dude, I'm just like, finally, I'm getting the credit that I was deserving for keeping the fucking genetics together and putting the terpenes back into the fucking weed and only doing F1 and working with landrace strains. I don't want to have any, I'm not in that gene pool. I'm not in that gene pool. So so you go here that everybody thinks they look at the weed. I look at the weed and it looks like a little bud about this big. Fuck, I'm used to buds as big as my body, dude. Are you kidding? I want a bud, a flower. Something that they call bag appeal. What the hell is that? Bag appeal. I'll show you bag appeal. You open my bag, you can smell it across the fucking street. You know what I mean? Bag appeal. I mean, it's unbelievable. They've all been taught by the Dutch that these Dutch methods. This is how you have to have it. This is how you have to. This is, and so everybody's learned wrong. It's hard for me to even communicate with people. It's better for me when I'm in a group just to keep my mouth shut, because basically I walk into a group and 90% I think are idiots. They know nothing about cannabis, but they want to make the money.
Well, they call it the Instagram weed, right? Where it's real, the bag appeal part of it. Doesn't matter what it smelled like, tastes like, smoked like. It just looked really pretty sitting there.
Yeah, it's a bag appeal. It's one of the most stupid things I've ever. And I'll tell you, I went to a session in New York, and there was one guy who was selling half pounds and pounds, and it was all vacuum packed. And I went over there, and he wanted like 2,000 for half a pound and 4,000 for the whole pound. I looked at him. I said, "Man, you couldn't, in my day, you couldn't give that away." You know what I mean? That's just not what we would have bought, what even considered. It's everybody needs to be retrained, hypnotized or unzombied, and re-educated again when it comes to weed. You know what I mean? It just,
I think it's going to come around though, because I think people get exposed to it.
It's gonna come around.
You gotta remember though, the best weed that you've ever had is the best weed you know of. You know what I'm saying? So like, until somebody hands you some weed that's way better, that they think that's the best weed you've smoked. Until you smoke that next one, that's like, wow. Then your palate gets changed a little. So it'll happen.
That same thing happens in the garden for a lot of people too. They think they've grown they've got the best thing going until they pop that next seed, and then they go, "Holy shit, this is a little better than what I had over there." You know what I mean?
But the thing about it is that, again, everyone's was taught wrong. So it's hard, and I appreciate what you're saying. Oh yeah, well, you only know about what you've smoked, and oh shit, this stuff is good. It's the best stuff I've ever smoked. It's such. There's too much room between the truth and total bullshit. You know what I mean? So you can't get a straight answer from people anymore, because they don't know the real skinny. They don't know where their stuff comes from. I know where my stuff comes from. I breeded myself. I collected myself. I breeded myself. I don't go into any of these stores. The only time I go into the stores is to see whether they're selling my brands, and they're still selling a lot of my brands. The other day I saw some Skywalker, and I saw some Lemon Kush, and some stuff that I did like 20 or 30 years ago. I saw some of that. Let's see, I didn't see anything. When you talk about that the weed scene is going to change, it's going to change totally, because the flower is going to come back. People are going to want to see, once they see a real flower. That's the thing I used to like about the Emerald show, the Emerald Triangle show, the Emerald Cup. You had farmers who came there, and you could see 2-3 pounds of his bud. You could see it there. You could smell it right there. That's all gone now. You go into a store, it's all prepackaged. I was in New York, and in New York, it's like full tilt boogie there. Every bodega, New York, you have like these little corner stores. They're called bodegas, and they got them all over the city. There's like 30,000 of them, and 30,000 of them sell weed under the table. So I've never seen any people are actually growing weed on their roofs and some of the buildings in New York.
Can't says blame them really though.
Yeah, they're not going to put you in jail for it. So yeah, the it's going to change, because the sativas are going to come back into the market. I'm doing a big push on sativas, and I have strains like a Blue Dragon, Burmese Maui. I've got my in pure indicas, pure sativa mixes. I've got my 72 mixes. I've got all this stuff that I regenerated, replicated, and picked out, chose the finest examples of all those strains, and then produced those seeds. So we're going to change, the way people think about smoking. Because once you smoke my weed, it's going to get you high. You know what I mean? That's for sure. So I have this one strain, Burmese Maui, Durban Poison, that'll be back out here soon. That that sells on smell alone. It looks beautiful, but the smell is such an overwhelming tropical smell that people haven't ever smelt before. That once they smell it, they have to have it. So we're doing a big push. We're going to be doing the show, starting our new shows in Hawaii, and then we're doing the cup in Michigan. We're doing a cup in Colorado, and we'll be doing a lot of cups around the country with our new lines, our new indicas, and our new sativas, and our new F1s, and our THCV line. Seed is Art is now my marketing arm, and when you go to my website, Grow Like Joe, by February the 1st, I think it'll all be connected where you can go to Grow Like Joe, press on seeds, and then go to the menu at Seed is Art. And by then, we have 20 that we just replicated, and a bunch that we just replicated. So we're going to be coming out with 20 or 30 strains here, February the 1st. It's all boxed. It's all professionally done, hand chosen, hand grown by the finest growers. The finest examples of each strain are the only ones that are going to be replicated. And we're going to be on the market here as of February. Well, we're not on the market yet, but February the 1st, we'll be on the internet and the market. We even have our seeds. We'll be the first ones to have our seeds tested, because when you want to sell seeds on the internet, PayPal, or any kind of thing like that, banking, your seeds have to be free of THC. So all the seeds are cleaned, and then they're washed, and then they're tested for any THC, because you may have THC in your hands, and you put it onto your seed. It has no THC, and we pass them. We have them tested to be under 0.03 or whatever the law is, and it's completely legal for sale at that point, anywhere in the world, bank to bank. And I've never had that in about more than 10 years, because PayPal threw me out. I was making good money on PayPal, but they threw me off when one person mentioned seeds in an order. And I would tell them, hey, man, don't mention anything in the order. I know what you want. Just pay me your money, and I'll send you your books, And one guy said seed, and they kicked me off of PayPal, and I haven't been able to get on since. But now I'm on officially, legally, and I'll be promoting my stuff all over the world. And I'm going to be doing a show probably in Spain, and maybe in Prague too, this coming year too, in 2024.
So are these like seeds already made then, Joe, or are they?
Well, their seeds are some are already made, and some are in the being made and being replicated. Right now, I'm refreshing my whole stock, and I'm choosing my best examples. So once the menu comes out, it'll be added on as the seeds come out of when the seeds are finished. But yeah, everything will be fresh stock and beautiful selection. I'll blow out 200 or 300 seeds of a variety and choose the best ones. Like I did my Blue Dragon variety, and I chose a purple variety, and I bred that to my purple Citrali, and I created my Peonia purple again from like 40 years ago. And I've got another strain where I got the. I also have a tissue culturing lab as part of Seed is Art. So I'll be tissue culturing a lot of my old stock that I still have from the 70s. Original Afghanis, original Hawaiians, original Colombian golds. I have original a bunch of stuff like that that I'll be replicating, but I may have to do it through tissue culture, which I now have that ability to do that. Uh, uh, you know, I've 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 really improved my game. I have a whole team behind me now. So all I got to do is continue to collect. I'm going to the Afghan to Kazakhstan here this next year, and I'm going to Pakistan again. So we'll see. I mean, after February the 1st, my menu will be up. It's called Cedar's Art, and that'll be where the Gold Crown menu will be. And probably by the end of the year of 2024, I'll have 100 different strains, 30 different land races, 30 different F1 land races from land race. I'll have all my hand selected top winners that I've had throughout my years, like my Burmese Maui, Durban Poison, and stuff like that. And then I'll have my THCV line, which is a full-on medical line. Actually, in some states, it's not even considered like weed, like cannabis, because there is no a drug plant in it, you know. So like in some states, it can be sold legally because it's not considered weed or not considered, a drug plant. But it is a drug plant because what the it gets you high when you're using the THCV line into my CBD combinations. You get higher than you've gotten in a long time, and the taste and the color and the pungency is intense. Like in my THCV line, most of my strains have 25 different terpenes. So I mean, the flavors and taste that you're going to get, and colors you're going to get, are going to be outstanding. But it can be sold legally too. So yeah, so I'm doing all these things, and it's like I'm creating my legacy in seeds. I'm going to leave it behind because I'm not getting any younger. So I'm going to leave this behind for the world to be able to get real seed. And that's the reason I'm going to East Turkestan. Hopefully, I won't get kidnapped by terrorists. Well, I don't have any money, so they won't kidnap me. All I want to do is get high. Maybe they'll love me. I don't know. I don't know. I'm taking my buddy Ahmad from Pakistan, and we're gonna do that. He's gonna be like my voyeur, but he's gonna be like my leader of my band. And I'm taking my buddy Doobie Howser, and I'm probably taking my buddy from Thailand, my buddy Pete. I'm probably going to go over with about 4 people.
It's like the old wolf pack.
What?
Is that like the old wolf pack of buddies there, or what?
Yeah, Doobie Howser is your age. He's about 40. How old are you?
I'm 45.
Yeah. So yeah, he's your age, and Pete's a little younger, and Ahmad is your age. Ahmad really grows. He loves my Durban. He loves my Blackberry Durban, my Blackberry Kush Durban Poison. He loves that strain, dude.
It sounds killer.
Oh, it's really good. So I'm gonna do a little Pakistan with him, and then I'm gonna plan my trip in the fall to Kazakhstan and I'm going to start in Pakistan. Then I'm going to go to Kazakhstan and work my way through Eastern and Chinese Turkestan. That's my next adventure, and I'm just going to continue with my seed as art is the biggest improvement of my life as far as my quality and and just. I was doing everything by myself. now I have a team. I got a whole team of people breeding. I got a whole team, 8 farms, 8 dispensaries, dude, at my disposal.
No,
Anyway,
that's really exciting, bro. That's
I'm
cool.
getting one. I'm hoping to get one of those electrostatic sieving machine. And that's being if they buy the if they take over my farm, they're going to put one of those machines here, and so I'll be making all kinds of real hash products. Once that machine hits the market, a lot of stuff will be obsolete. All these people who bought refrigerated equipment and all this washing machines, all that stuff that they bought, that's all obsolete. That'll all be obsolete once this hash gets on the market. Then just everything. It'll improve the quality of the medicine being made. But of course you'll have you see somebody to make hash in a bag. That's all he knows.
Are you talking the bubble hash or the water hash? Is that what you're talking about?
That's all made up. That none of that shit about that bubble bag technique is true. It's a scam.
Well, what do you mean? I've smoked this stuff that's come out of it. What are you talking about? It ain't true.
When you use a bag, you lose 30% just using the catch bag.
There's always a loss. I mean, there's always going to be a loss.
You're saying in the plant material that's left behind is what you're talking about?
You leave 30% in the water. All the oils are in the water, and you have no method to collect it. So the only thing that you collect are the resin glands, but minus that 30% of the oil that was released in the system.
No, I understand what you're talking about. That is something a lot of people are aware. Like even the water soluble terpenes and stuff, people have talked about too. But so you do it all dry, is what you're saying?
No, I have the original machine that I got from the guy who got the patent for ice water extraction, the method patent. No, the new machine can be dried. It doesn't matter. It doesn't
So, in
matter.
your opinion, is there a sweet spot in the harvesting time to where the trichome head is a little bit more durable for the hash
Well,
making?
I only harvest to make hash when the trichomes are full and cloudy. I don't let them get amber at all. Right? They tell you, oh, let the trichomes turn about 50% amber and then collect it. They tell you that because it's easier to collect, but they don't tell you that the product that you changed from amber that you let wait to get to amber is CBN. It doesn't even get you high. That's what gives you couch lock. When I process it, I don't let it go that far. I harvest before anything turns amber.
Yeah, I'm that way too. I've gradually gone away from any kind of amber in it, trying to pull it that way.
Well, they told you amber so to sell you bags. I wrote an article 15 years ago. Bubble bags, the biggest cannabis consumer fraud in cannabis history. I also wrote a book, a paper, butane causes cancer. And so, the Dutch, they control the internet with all their money. They put me at the end. If you try to find that article, you'd have to do a lot of research, go back. Nowadays, you can find it. But nowadays, PhDs are writing papers on butane causes cancer. When you do butane every day, say you smoke butane every day, BHO or dabs, and you stop, you get dope sick. You know that much? Do you dab?
Yeah.
Yeah. Every day?
No.
Not every day, all day, no. I see, I get what you're saying too, and that's more from the old school like butane hash when they were washing in glass tubes and shit, right? Like that's
Yeah. A lot of people blew themselves up doing that.
yeah. It's advanced a long way from there now, though. I mean,
I'm hoping so.
guys doing. But,
This is some of my hash. It's made from it's 2-year-old flowers that I use, and it's not as good as it was last year. But I mean, it's nicer than anything you can get, but that I can get. But it's not as good as it was last year. I didn't grow my own flower this year, so my hash is not as good. But I'm going to be getting that new machine, and then I'll be making the cream again. But think about it. There won't be people who use washing machines to wash their weed, right? That's obsolete. They're using bags are obsolete. Rosin is obsolete because once you use the electrosmithing, you've created rosin.
yeah, but what do you still got to break down the plant material, and you got to separate the heads from the plant material somehow.
Right. That's
So you
what
got to
the
have agitation at some point, right?
yeah,
Like,
it's the sieving. There's a sieving agitation, and then electrostatic separates the plant matter that's left in the sieve out. So you only get pure resin.
that definitely sounds dope. Because pulling the bag sucks. I
Dope.
haven't done it in a while, but I know that sucks.
It's dope, dude. It's fucking dope, dude.
Yeah.
It's so much. It's so much better than anything on the market if it's the real done correctly. That there's such a it's like from A to Z. It's like I just can't. It makes most of the products that you're making now in the dispensaries obsolete.
But what about the home grower? I mean, like you're talking the bubble bag system. The reason that was so popular is because anybody could do it in their basement. You know, you didn't have to spend a shit ton of money. It was some time and some ice and some water, and you made something. You know, is this something
Made
that
some
people
crap.
can do
You made
at
some
home?
crap. Dude,
But can people do it at home?
I've been in every hash producing country in the world. I'm famous for smuggling hash from Pakistan, Nepal, Lebanon. You know, that's part of my fucking resume, dude. I've been producing hash on a mass scale since the 60s. You know, so so I don't want to sound like an elitist or anything like that. I'm just saying that's been my experience because that's how I made money. You know what I mean? And so I've seen everything that there is to see on cannabis and hashish from the 60s till today. And I'll tell you, the shit today is crap because it's like cannabis lost its soul. There's no spirit. There's no love there. You know,
There's a lot of love in the home grower community, man. People really enjoy that, and that's what I was getting at, Joe. Is like the popularity of that bag or that system. I think was because it was something somebody could do at home with their own home grow, their own weed. You know what you're saying? This new system, is that something more for commercial end, or is that something like the average home? You know what I mean? Home.
it's a commercial. It's a commercial product. The machines are very expensive, but there's always been. I can't. Maybe you'll get it this time. The bags are a ripoff. If the only way to make hash is to sieve it or to hand rub it. Once you put it into water and you put ice in there, you release the trichomes and you break off the oil, the heads from the two little nubs there, the tubes there, the trichome, and a lot of oil is released. That's why, and when you're making stuff at home and you have a plastic bucket and you've taken everything out and you touch the inside of your bucket, it's sticky. There's your dope.
Well, and then there's the mention of certain strains won't wash as well, and it's like then you get into all the different types of heads and whatever. But
Okay.
the
the bags are a scam, dude.
no, I hear you.
That was a way for them to sell nylon at wedding dress prices. So they taught you. They taught
There's
you.
like I said, dry sift too. I mean, they got this.
Okay.
Like
The dry sift is the only way to make proper hashish. Unless you have a machine like Reinhardt made, which is a closed loop system, then that comes out really, really good. But no. The bags, what somebody did, they used to sell these things that they call tumblers. And you put the buds inside the tumbler and you run them around for 15 minutes and it separates all the trichomes. You know about those, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. The tumbler is the only thing that you could use to be able to make proper hash. And then you have to know how to use that properly well, which they don't teach you. Right? So they added the water technique to the dry sieving technique, which was an abomination because you don't get the same quality.
Well, there's the advantage though that you can like so a lot of the guys
no advantage, bro.
But what the guys are doing now is they're harvesting.
There is no advantage, man. I've been making hash since the '60s. It was a retarded technique that was taught to you that you've taken it hook, line, and sinker. I haven't.
What I'm saying is there's advantages to it because they can chop a harvest right fresh, not have to dry it anywhere, and they can freeze it and then process it right from that. And there's advantages to a farm that does it that way.
Why would you freeze it? Why would you freeze it?
The cannabis?
Yeah.
They're doing that right now at a fucking large scales. The large, more recreational market is finding it easier to harvest and freeze that shit and turn it into hash versus having a fucking drying operation. You know what I mean? It's a corner cut for them. And fucking we harvest it, throw it in the freezer, make cash out of it. Why you want to pay a trimmer or a storage area?
When you freeze it, it changes the molecules. You know that, right?
How so?
It just does.
Is it chemically changing?
Let me ask you a question. Who came up with freezing? Dude, okay, I don't know who you're talking to, but man, we used to run 50 tons from fucking Thailand at a time. And we at first we'd can it in those number 10 cans and we'd seal it, and they'd always come back. Some of them would be fucking moldy. So my friend, the professor, just call him the professor, he brought back equipment to Thailand that vacuum packed and nitrogen sealed the weed. And they flushed it with nitrogen. So when it was sealed and packed and put away, all you needed to do was keep it in a dark place. You didn't need to freeze it. And it was as fresh as the day it was opened. I mean, I used to get Hawaiian that way.
Stored weed, though, it stores well, but as soon as you open that shit up, it only crumbles or it stays. Has good structure for a couple of days.
No. It wasn't dry. It wasn't flushed properly. Dude, I'd buy Hawaiian that I would get, and I was selling for $6,400 a pound in New York in the 80s. Okay, it was vacuum packed, nitrogen sealed, and I would put it in my trunk. I'd buy like 50 pounds. I'd put it in my trunk, and I'd sell half pounds for 3,400, 3,200. And that shit was fucking bomb, dude. I wish I had that shit now. That stuff was well, Hawaii is a well, you know, for the people who grow indoors in Hawaii, it's because they can't grow outdoors, because the climate out in Hawaii is just like Mother Nature's gift to cannabis.
So just out of curiosity, I mean, what is that sweet spot for hash for you then? You know, because as hash is, you were saying just about your hash, you know, it was good last year, you know, 2 years ago. It was better 2 years ago, but not so great this year.
Yeah,
So,
because the people who had the weed didn't store it right. If it would have been stored right and sealed right, it would have been better. But it was just left out openly, and it degraded. But it's still nice. I'm sure you would think it was great, but I'm spoiled, you know. But man, it's a mad dash now, because once this equipment gets commercially out there, a lot of people who have paid a lot of money for all this equipment that they told you needed, uh, uh, you know, everybody's trying to get off their equipment out here. But out here, like I said, it's a race to the bottom here, and it's, for me, it's sort of good, because just get a lot of the people out of the game. Dude. Are you there? Hello, are you there?
Yeah, I'm listening. Eagle might.
It gets a lot of people out of the game. The only people who are getting over are the people that are growing for themselves. But the problem is with the people that grow for themselves, most of them, a lot of them, are stuck on the hype, you know, and so they don't even realize that they've learned wrong on purpose. They were taught wrong on purpose. The Dutch have people come here and actually train the salesmen to sell their Dutch products in the grow shops. And what do they teach? 18.6. You do 12 and 12, right? 12 and 1, right?
I have been. The one downfall is trying to keep a male. The males don't seem to like it at all. They just nut out and won't switch back. But that's the only issue I've had with them, is there's keeping a male.
Explain what you just said to me.
The males in the 12-1 light schedule and veg,
Yeah,
will flip into flower. They'll throw pollen sacs.
yeah. For if you're keeping males, you're just keeping males. You want to keep them separate.
Right. Yeah, I figured that out now.
Yeah, you just got to give them a little bit more light. You know, it's the same thing when I'm doing regeneration. Like and I would take a plant. I'd have a strain, and I didn't have any more seeds from that strain. So I'd finish the plant, and before I stripped it down, I left like the bottom 2 foot of the plant, and then I would strip off all the flower, and only have like the plant and some leaves on the plant, and then I would put it into try to re-veg it. And I would re-veg it with 18.6. Some people, but I have to re-veg it, some plants, on 24 hours too. But normally I use 18.6 to re-veg the plant. Sometimes 24 can be used as well, but 18.6 is good enough for veg. And I just leave them there and keep them in veg. I put them on 16 and 8 and keep them in, to keep it. And say I have a room full of mothers, right? And all I'm doing is keeping my mothers. Then I would do a 16-8, probably 16 on and 8 off.
All right, I'll keep that in mind.
I
I'm
cause that's
out
what
here, man. It's my
that's that's what
bedtime, but nice to
that's what.
talk with you, Joe, and
Yeah,
good to see you, buddy.
good
And
to see you too.
Yeah,
yeah,
have a
man.
good one, Smiley.
Good
Take care,
stuff.
Yeah.
brother. Have a good one.
Yeah.
Cheers, buddy. Kilowatt. How you doing, brother?
I'm good. How is everyone? Hi, Joe. Nice to
Hey
meet you.
man,
Hi, Eagle. Hi, everyone else.
That's a
Yeah,
nice patty there. What you got in there, bad boy?
man, I haven't smoked any good weed in a while.
it's the apples, bananas. Yeah,
Nice. I'm
it's a
eating
good
pork
one.
chops. Sorry, guys. Dinner in late.
Yeah, I had pork. I made pork chops like 3 nights ago. Yeah, I yeah the thin ones. I made thin ones.
I like thinner ones. I don't like the real thick ones.
I
Yeah,
tell you what, this was an accidental find right here. They didn't have my normal hot sauce, but this shit right here is delicious. I put it on everything. It's not one of the hotter sauces, but it's like a
is
garlicky
Yeah, I've
hot,
never seen that.
is
delicious.
the is that orange color the color of the sauce or just the bottle?
No, that's the color of the sauce.
Oh, that looks yummy.
And you know what? You want to hear a fun fact about like this hot sauce and shit? I've got a sweatshirt just like this that a few years ago I was eating hot sauce. Some Pain is Good was the name of the brand, and it dripped onto my shirt and had burned itself into the fabric. Literally burned into the fabric, the acrylic. And then I noticed this lately, buddy, is like these plastic bottles right here. That orange is sauce, and this bottle is nearly empty. Okay. What I've noticed about these sauces is like even in this, so like the buffalo, the hotter the sauce, it etches in the bottle. Say like a mild sauce, this bottle will drip down and the top half will be clear. The hotter the sauce, it etches right into the bottle. So a full bottle of this buffalo hot, like buffalo hot wings, you will not know it's empty because it's etched its way into the plastic all the way down.
Well, like, people don't store rosin and they store it in glass, but I assume if you stored it in plastic, some of the rosin, especially the ones that have the more volatile terps, the they would probably do the same thing, eat into the plastic or etch the plastic because yeah, they're solvents basically or volatile compounds, right?
No, I
That was
create.
tragic. I don't want to name the cup, but I've judged quite a few, and one of them, all the samples came in, all the flower samples came in fresh plastic jars, which I believe hindered, the terpene profile on all. You know what I mean? You could kind of, it made a difference. It made a difference, in my opinion.
It was the bowl. There was plastic.
The cups, the sample cups.
Yeah, that was a mistake.
Yeah, I believe they should have been glass.
Well, I mean, I enjoy pretty terpy stuff, but like I think when more research is done in the future, they'll come out. Like not that I think terps are good at certain levels, but high consumption of certain terps are probably not that healthy.
Oh
And with a
yeah.
lot of these concentrates and even the topic you guys were talking about, fresh frozen, a lot of the reason of the fresh frozen is to capture this, like as a grower, flower grower. Yeah, things dried and cured. They never smelt like they did right when you cut them down. But in the last so many years, I've experienced so many of these rosins that have fresh frozen that, yeah, that's the essence of the plant, like pretty much right when they cut it down, right? Really terpy. Some of them I don't even know the percentages, but you know, some of the best rosin is how terpy it is. And daily consumption of high level, like just about everything in life, we like, oh yeah, you consume too much of anything, it starts to be bad for you, right? Like even the healthiest food.
Well, no.
And
I mean, if you're using a chemical to process cannabis, like people who are using butane to
well, but Joe, that there's still a market that, but for the most part, BHO's like declined drastically and been replaced basically with bubble or uh,
Rosin.
rosin or different things.
what's your name?
Ben, I'm Ben,
Ben.
or
I
known each
created
other a while.
rosin, right?
You created rosin?
Yeah.
All
I
right.
wrote a book. I wrote an article in High Times, the 30th anniversary of High Times, the saga of Afghan Ted, my buddy, my Afghan connection in Pagman in outside of Kabul. And he spoke Farsi. He was like adopted by the Kuchi tribe. The Kuchi tribe was a nomadic tribe that traveled from Iran through Afghanistan and into India, and would always be at the camel festivals that they have there every year in Jodhpur. And so
Well,
he would have this
I
hat. Hello.
if you were responsible for hash in the 80s and
Well, one
the
minute. Let me finish what I'm
all
saying.
that time,
One
I
minute. One
probably
minute. One
consumed
minute.
some
One
of
minute.
that
You're
hash.
yeah.
But
One minute.
wait, let
One
me
minute.
finish.
One.
I
But
wish that in the United States we had access to traditional hashes. Like like I haven't seen any. Oh, I see all the domestic production, which is fine and dandy. But if I could buy like a old quarter ounce of good, Moroccan or any of the traditional hashes, oh, but I don't know where any of that is. I'm sure certain people, small amounts, but I miss that product. Not that like it's different. Like I like all the different cannabis products. They all have like a certain place. I don't really smoke BHO anymore, but uh, yeah, it's rosin's good. Bubble is good. Oh, traditional hash, yeah, I love that too. That's like a whole different experience. Um,
the rosin. Let me finish my story.
yeah.
In the article, I wrote about the Cucci method of hash making, and they would take it. They would take the rosin, the resin, and they would sew it up in a dried goat skin and put it in the hottest part of the desert. And then the next year, when they came back from India, they would collect it. And that hash, when you rolled it out with a rolling pin or whatever you were using to roll it out, it was translucent, and it was like the best hash that was available on the market.
Now I've watched the videos from Afghanistan and stuff where they show the old methods, and they're at scale, meaning, yeah, they're making, taking the whole field, and like here, a lot of like even when rosin guys and breeders, it's all about, oh, is it the percentage, like,
You
oh,
still
a
haven't let me.
5%
You
return
still
is a
haven't
good.
let me finish
Oh,
about
all
rosin.
right, go ahead. I thought
No, I
but
haven't finished.
like,
But
what's the
anyway, there's
yield on
some
traditional
kid
hash?
said, "How can I replicate that method in my garage?" And they came up with the rosin press, and they call it rosin.
Oh, pressing.
And
Yeah.
then I had to correct them again. I said, "Why would you run the product with the bags, and then take that product and run it and make what you think is rosin? Why not just take the flour and do it?"
Well, okay, so in like
And then they realize he's right.
okay, but in 2010 to like 2015, 14, the culture was smoking BHO. Okay.
Yeah.
And so whatever the bubble bag is or isn't, in the last so many years, many people never smoke BHO, don't smoke BHO.
Thank
And
goodness.
yeah, yeah,
Thank goodness.
cancer, any
Thank
petrochemical
goodness. Have
most
you?
likely is going to have harm, like,
Oh yeah.
whatever, you
Oh
know.
yeah. Oh yeah.
So, okay, so as bad as the
This new
bubble,
sieving
like there might be a
technique.
better way than the
This
bubble
this this
bags,
new
but
this new
if you're
electronic
a small
sieving.
grower with like a 5 pound bubble bag or 5 gallon setup, yeah, people are able to take their trim and whatever and make themselves a little bit of good stuff. Yeah, I can't see why you think there's something bad about that, or it's like oh, there's
Because I'm used to smoking it like
or
this.
that it'll be
I'm used to smoking
obsolete.
it.
I
You
don't
see
think
what
it'll ever be obsolete. Oh, there's plenty of market share for all the different methods. Like I haven't smoked it, but you're probably more familiar. What do they call it? There's this hash that's popular in Europe that's kind of like rosin. They call it it's like with a P. Um, but that's basically just bubble bag stuff that's been like cured just through warmth, not pressed. Patella. Like I haven't smoked it, but I've heard about it. Um, yeah, like there's room for every little method, and when you scale down, like electric static, and once corporations and big money can invest in industrial machinery, they will. But just like in all industry, there have to be like a return. Like when you're talking about 3%, whoa, that's 3% on you grow a whole field of weed and you're just gonna squeeze out 3%, or maybe you get lucky in 5%. Yeah, like that's why I was asking you, like, let's say in a hash
on
production
the
in
weed that I've grown,
Afghanistan,
the
how
weed that
much
I've grown,
do they
I've
get
gotten as much
hash
as
back
15%.
out of like like a ton of weed equals how much hash? And over the years, some hash was way better than other hash. Some of the blonde Lebanese hashes I had that seemed to have like more plant matter in it, right? Oh, the better hashes were more expensive and melted, didn't really have plant matter. And
Lebanon,
yeah,
the best hash came in 125-gram bags, 8 to a kilo. That was that creamy red, that gummy red,
yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
gummy red.
I have
Dude,
this cloth bag that I think it might have been a kilo. I don't know. It's about this big. It's not
yeah, they
that
had
big.
half kilos. They had kilos.
And
The
it
better
had like
stuff,
a
the
stamp.
better
It
stuff
had
was
a stamp on it,
yeah,
and then
and
even
had
the
a, they could have three. They could have three camels.
yeah, and that was like 85,
You
around
know,
85.
it could have. I've been doing Lebanese stuff since the '60s.
Now, I see it, and there's
It got
hash.
better. It got more commercial in the end.
Yeah,
Right, you
well,
couldn't get
that
the
area still puts
the
hash
only time you
out.
could get it was like India, Nepal, and Kashmir. The best hash stayed there.
But okay, so why is all of a sudden the rest of the world still has access to the traditional hash market, but in the U.S., yeah, I haven't
You
seen
ask the
any.
pharmaceutical companies for that.
I mean, I guess the
You
smuggling and
should
the
have,
worth and the value and all that, but I know like in Europe and in other spots, they can buy Moroccan hash, they can buy Afghani hash.
We don't have the
I
appreciation for it here. We're too
like,
too trendy. We're following
yeah,
fads here.
like I don't know what year, but a lot of it is, well, we have domestic production, so like most of our consumption is our own. But when I
the
was
reason that
younger,
you can't see
and
the
you
reason that
couldn't
you
find
can't
any
see that
weed, you could always
the
find
reason you
hash.
can't see imported hash in the states is because it's in the countries that they were
Because
in,
you
like
retired,
like in
I figure
Southeast
it's because you retired.
no in Southeast Asia in Southeast Asia in Southeast Asia they you keep interrupting me so I don't get my thoughts across.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll let you talk.
Yeah, in Southeast Asia, in Lebanon, the quality went down. You don't see the red, but in Southeast Asia they have a thing called SNARC. It's the Southeast Asian Narcotic Association. All the countries in some, not all of them, but some of the countries in Asia, Nepal, India, Pakistan, all these, the Afghanistan, are all part of that treaties. They every year they have a meeting of SNARC at a different country. It's all paid for by the Drug Enforcement Agency.
Well, Joe,
If you 1 minute, if you go to these countries, all the police are trained by the DEA. In Nepal, they're putting farmers in jail in Nepal.
I'm just
That's
curious.
how crazy.
Like,
That's how crazy the drug war is. The drug war is going on in Asia.
Yeah, I'm sure you're familiar with most people in the cannabis thing. You know who Kevin Joltry is, right? Kevin Joltry, the guy. Him and another group of people a month or so
I
ago,
think I know who
and
you're
they
talking about.
they went to
a guy
Pakistan.
Yeah.
They did a little trip. There was an organization that helped organize it, and they went to some yeah, I followed along. It showed in country life and
I know
the
who you.
people
How do I
there.
get the? Somehow I got shut off. I don't see you. Hello.
Well, I'm right here.
You're here. Swipe it.
Swipe it.
Are you on a phone or a computer, Joe?
Computer.
And you can't see us anymore?
Oh yeah, I got it.
There you go.
Like as a lifelong,
that guy Kev, that guy Kevin, whatever you're thinking about it is, you were impressed with him. I wasn't impressed with him.
Well, I just like the idea
he says to me, he says, "Oh, I got skunk number 1, and I got it from Europe."
Well, okay, but here's forget who went there. I'm just glad that there's people starting to like.
I did 3 months in
connect with that part
Karachi
of the
Central
world.
Prison, bro. I did 3 months in Karachi Central Prison before they extradited me from Pakistan. You know what I mean? So I mean,
Yeah.
I was running trucks through Afghanistan, from Iran, Afghanistan. I'd load them up in Afghanistan. I'd load them up in Pakistan, and I had a houseboat in Kashmir, and I loaded them up in Kashmir. And I used to run into.
Yeah. Oh, wait.
I had a 40 passenger fucking Mercedes bus that I used to go through. When my buses past Torkham Khyber, the Khyber Pass, Land Dakota, they'd come to my warehouse. I'd load them up, and the next morning they'd be out, loaded up, and they'd be in India, and the truck hadn't even been in Pakistan 24 hours. So I don't.
Well,
by the way,
here's me. I've been smoking weed like for 45 years, mainly like indica. If I could ever travel to one place in my life to see the fields of weed and experience it, it would be like in Afghanistan, Hindu Kush, that area. Except that in my lifetime, due to war, basically, right? The war and all the bullshit, the terrorists, like to go over there isn't like advisable or even, that feasible. But maybe in the future, because like you say, a lot of the best cannabis.
If you want to go for indica, if you want to go for indica, then you go to Kazakhstan, that area, that Eastern Turkestan.
And now that country is safer than even these guys. So they didn't go to Afghanistan, and they only went to certain parts of Pakistan, for an average American white person. You're not welcome in over there, right?
No, I'm in with the tribal chiefs there at that.
Well, you have experience.
I lived in Land Dakota. I lived outside of Peshawar. When I left Peshawar, I would go into tribal land under tribal law, Sharia law. I had an apartment.
And like the culture and the people that have never made the money, but their genetics and their weed built a lot of the modern weed culture of today. they have no money in that country. They live like on nothing, even though they have like the resource of all this cannabis due to the politics and all this. Like
So
if there
actually,
was ever a
the
region that
Pakistani government,
could
the
get
police,
into
and army people,
international trade of
nowadays,
cannabis, it would be there.
nowadays, the army runs a lot of the hash business out of the tribal zone, and
Well, yeah.
they are running it to other Arab countries where they have agreements to, and it's done under police.
I mean, I've heard stories, the media, you fucking who knows what to believe, but like that when the Taliban took over, they basically ordered that the people that grew weed grew opium, and if you were caught growing weed still, you'd get fucking beheaded and shit. Like, and that, yeah, they made it some rule or whatever that the
The
farmers
rule
that
was is that they paid a certain price for the opium. They made the opium more. Everybody was growing opium because they were selling it. So
Yeah,
yeah,
and I know you're familiar with the treaty in 47, but really a lot of that treaty and part of that is, oh, when we put missiles in Turkey, right?
well, this has
Right?
nothing
Which
to
trade off with
when
the
the British
missiles in
Empire
Turkey
went down.
is why,
Everything became illegal that they couldn't
yeah.
tax anymore.
Well, like, Turkey's where the centralized legit opium market is at, right? Even though the product comes out of mainly Afghanistan, the way the treaty and the politics work, Afghanistan doesn't make anything on it. 97% of all like opium that goes into the pharmaceutical industry comes through Turkey, even though Turkey just resells the shit from Afghanistan, right? Oh, it's some complicated politics.
Tasmania produces the finest quality opium in the world.
Yeah, well,
Tasmania grows a huge amount of opium just for the legal trade. Just for the legal trade. So they supply a lot of pharmaceutical companies. They're under contracts. If you would see the building that they had in the Detroit River, Parker Davis, making their tinctures, their cannabis tinctures, and the slot that they had in that huge boats could come in and unload their tons and tons and tons of cannabis for the cannabis trade, you'd be amazed. I mean,
well, I
that
mean,
was
I
all
think,
legal.
I mean, you and me are probably too old to be here when this starts happening. But as the cannabis thing changes, it's really going to be about international trade, right? And where U.S. production, which is at an all-time high now, will fall off, is like every other business. The cost of doing business in the U.S., you can't compete. You can't compete with Thailand. You can't compete with Colombia. You can't compete.
Well,
The labor
one minute.
costs,
In
the land
Thailand,
costs.
Thailand, they're getting 4,000 a pound in Thailand.
Yeah,
And
but I'm talking about export, import.
my friend's father-in-law grew last year, and he complained he could only get $1,000 a kilo for
Yeah,
these
but
that he grew.
just
But
like
my
you've
other
been in
buddy has
Oklahoma.
77 stores all around Thailand, and he's getting top dollar. He's growing everything there.
Yeah, but they're like a year and a half into this thing, and the same thing that happened in Oklahoma and almost everywhere else. Yeah, they're going to overproduce, and it's going to correct itself, right? Like, yeah, it's Wild West out there right now, but already they're seeing corrections because,
Oh, it's correcting
yeah,
right now. It's a race to the bottom now.
yeah. Well, that's the trend
Only
of
the
cannabis.
players that have the money and really know what they're doing and are seriously in this industry survive.
Yeah, well,
All
but
time. That's the thing.
I'm not talking about domestic sales like the 4,000 pound, all that. I'm talking about international commodity trading, right?
Yeah.
Right. Um, in the future, when the laws get straightened out and federal law, whatever, yeah, we live in a fair trade, whatever they call it, right? Oh, according to the fair trade agreement with Mexico, that's why they own the avocado business.
A lot of what you're saying, it all depends on the pharmaceutical company changing the laws and they're controlling
Yeah.
it. Because let me
But
just tell you,
ultimately,
if Mexico ever opened up and they could grow what they wanted to grow and free to grow like they grew before, we'd
whether
never
it's
have to go
outdoor
anywhere but get
production,
it in
indoor
Mexico,
production,
man. Mexico used to grow the top weed in the
yeah,
50s, 60s, and 70s.
yeah. Well, some countries going to emerge because they can produce it for like pennies on the gram. Where like I think in the United States they estimate some like the cheapest you could produce is like $175 a gram, but other places can produce it for like 50 cents a gram, 35 cents a gram, right? With energy, labor, all that. And that, you know, that's why we lost all of our industrial manufacturing, everything else to over other countries. The
That's
same
why
thing
you have
will
all
happen
these
in
kids
cannabis.
thinking that because they like weed. Oh, we like weed. We can grow it. We can grow it as good as anybody else. And da 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 da. And the fucking shit's gone down the fucking toilet, dude. Down the toilet, dude. Kazakhstan has a wide area that's the size of Rhode Island where weed grows wild. It's been growing there wild for thousands of years, as long as anybody can remember. Where you want
And
to go,
even this trend,
where you want to go if you want to want to make good hash and find good genetics is Eastern Turkestan, Kazakhstan, that area.
even this trend of the effects of cannabis seems to be a lot of the genetics of today shorter, like you're saying. Oh yeah, 15 minutes and your high's over. Where some of the Mexican weed, the Oaxacan, yeah, you smoke a joint of that, you were lit for like 3-4 hours, right? Even though it was
Yeah,
seeded commercial
the
weed,
weed of
right?
today it doesn't
But
last
wait,
because
let me finish.
it's
Let me finish.
mixed up.
Of
It's
course
mixed
it
up
doesn't, because big
with
industry wants to sell addictive products, okay? Right? Like Doritos, like cigarettes,
That's
like
why they came
Pepsi.
out with butane.
Right.
Look how long that's why they
Exactly.
came out with BHO.
So the more big
That's the
corporate
pharmaceutical
cannabis
industry.
comes into
The
play,
perfume
that
industry is where that came from. My friend
Yep.
John Intra is the one that pulled the permit for BHO.
yeah, but like what I'm trying to say is that over time, long period of time, whether it's with genetics or additives, when RJR and big companies start producing cannabis in national distribution, they're going to steer the genetics and the product to be more addictive, because all the most successful products, alcohol, sodas, tobacco, most even food items.
Gee,
Yep.
I'm glad I'm
Like
not in that
I
gene pool.
how like the more you consume, the more you sell. Okay. So like why would you want to sell somebody weed where they took one hit and were good for the whole afternoon, when you could sell them a little dab that is so tasty they're gonna want another hit 5 minutes later, right? And yeah, whether we realize it or not, yep, that's like happening already. Even yeah, like rosin's like that. It doesn't, you don't, I like rosin for the taste and like the high you get for like 5 or 10 minutes. But if
Yeah,
I
that's
want to
because
be stoned
it's
and
made
have
with a
like a
weed.
uh,
It's made with weed that's been grown. It's either feminized or auto flowering, and that's
yeah,
what they make it out of. So you don't
yeah,
have
yeah.
a long
I
term
agree
life.
with you that like more genetics need to be introduced, and we need to let go of bag appeal, like and maybe some of the the crazy terp flavors, and be more interested in the effects and the highs. You know,
You know,
like that. Like myself, I've been growing for a long time. I like I judge whether I run something, keep it by the effects. If it doesn't have like really strong effects, some of the most popular things that I've, oh, they're pretty, they taste so good, but they don't have like a like legs, right? Um, yeah, we seem to bottlenecked away from that in the chase for flavor and bag appeal and
People have
60-day
flavor.
cycles.
Everything
60-day
here,
cycles.
everything nowadays is berry flavored. Same
Yeah,
mix, different shit, berry flavored.
yeah. And that, you know, and even I don't know how long it will take to unwind, but we already know science has shown that just because it's 35% THC or whatever, the weeds that are like 18% are more enjoyable and get you more stoned. But if you're in the commercial market, even if you have a strain that's so perfect, if it doesn't test high in THC, no one will buy it. They won't, because the only way that they have to choose to buy it, not by looking at it, not by sampling it, not by smelling it, oh, the THC number. So a consumer goes in and goes, oh, well, what's the highest THC? Oh, this crap. Oh, well, that's what they buy. And that's that. And maybe you thought that, oh, the highest THC must be the best weed, but all of us that grow weed, smoke weed, been around weed a long time, no, that's not true. Some of the best weed I ever fucking smoked was under 20%. Was killer weed, like was appealing, had great terps, was all that weed could be, but it didn't have 30-some% THC.
All I know is that I never tested the Hawaiian that I would get in those days back 40 years ago, 50 years ago, but I was getting 6,400 a pound in New York City.
Yeah. Well, I remember getting little amounts of Hawaiian.
I still have a seal
around.
from the,
Like whoever had it or whenever it came around, like it was so scarce. Like it wasn't like, oh, you want a half a pound? No, I sell you an ounce, maybe only a smaller amount. But there's little amounts, like you say, 40 years ago, of like Hawaiian weed. That was some of the fucking gnarliest, best, like one hit.
Get 50 at a time.
Weed. Yeah. I don't know what happened to that.
It would take me 2 years, a year and a half to sell that 50. 100. That's how much.
Yeah, well, you had like you were playing a different level. You had big connections. Yeah.
My weed was so good. My weed was so good. I'd bring it back to Hawaii. I was living in Kona at the time, and in Kula in Maui, and I used to bring my Hawaiian back to Maui, and it would be better than anything that was available locally. And when I went there, it was in the middle of camp, and the helicopters would go out, and you could watch them fly over with cargo nets full of fucking dynamite Hawaiian, man. You know what they did in Hawaii? They set up a shop. See, I have little things that I test people, right? You know, why aren't you buying my Hawaiian today? You know why? It's because Ronald Reagan let the police get high. When they let the narcs get high, they used that as a way to infiltrate the marijuana syndicates of people like me and my syndicate that I went to fucking kindergarten with. Okay, so they couldn't infiltrate that, but when they let everybody get high, they came to Hawaii. They came to the Kona coast. They opened up a grow shop, and they were selling equipment, and they got high, so they partied with everybody, and they came on to some of the farmers and said, hey man, you have a way, you bring us, we'll give you the seeds, nutrients, whatever the fuck you need, you grow it, you pack it, give it back to me, I'll send it to your people, I have a way of getting it in, I'll send it to your people, you collect it, the money, your people collect the money, send it to you, when you get the money, you pay me. So the first year in Kona, a bunch of people went for it, but most people didn't, right? That year went in, everybody's packages got there, everybody was happy. The next year, everybody jumped on that fucking bandwagon on the Kona coast, right? They busted people from Kona to Boston. That was all a scam, you know? And only because Reagan let the narcotics people get high as a way to infiltrate our marijuana groups. Otherwise, you'd still be buying my weed and you'd still be smoking my ash. That's a fact. And that's what happened.
Yeah, well,
that's why you can't get Colombian anymore. Remember Colombian? I remember when Colombian had the whole market flooded in America, you couldn't give it away.
Forget about getting high on weed. I was indicted an 87 for conspiracy to distribute LSD, like Grateful Dead level, high level. And the two DEA agents that were the main officers of the case when they were at the grand jury thing, yeah, they were dudes that were snorting blow and
Oh yeah, got
smoking
caught under Reagan, man.
China White and all that, because the only way you could infiltrate our trip, like that was one of our ways we thought we were keeping cops away from us, but it ended up, oh no, they yeah, they were full blown druggies, but they were also DEA guys. Yeah.
They had a DEA guy in Bangkok that actually shot heroin.
Yeah, well, they'll do what it takes to get the case. Like this one, they had investigated for like 7
And
years
they busted
before they
that
did
group
anything.
from Kona to Boston. How many Rolexes, how many houses, how many Mercedes they got. Woo! It was like a domino effect. That's what happened in the 80s, man. They catch a driver, right? They catch a driver with a load and they say, hey man, you're never gonna see your fucking kids again. We want everybody you fucking know. And then all of a sudden you get a phone call. Oh, it's Nikki. Oh man, I just did a load and they paid me in merchandise and I have nowhere to sell it. Can you help me sell it? I'll give you a good price. Bam! You're nailed.
Yeah, no, they were serious about it during those eras.
Serious? Well, they're serious. They ran me to ground.
Yeah, well, that was the era. I mean, they still.
I did a few months in Karachi Central, but I was held in a Laos jail. I got extradited from Laos, from Vientiane, and I was never held in a Nepali jail for very long, but I've been chased out of Nepal twice. Never.
Well,
I'm very lucky in India.
What's that old movie that's about going to jail over some hash? It's a classic movie. Shit. That's the only thing I know. I know those jails aren't
Midnight
nothing nice.
Express.
Yeah, that story. Yeah, I saw that as a young person, and
the same people that did that. It's Locked Up Abroad.
I've seen some of those.
The first one was Billy Hayes and Midnight. They called me up because I was locked up abroad in 3 different countries, right? And they wanted me to repent. I told them to kiss my fucking ass. Everybody had to repent. I don't feel sorry for anything. I wish I would have gotten away with more. So I didn't. They offered me $5,000. I didn't think that was a lot of money and they get all the TV rights. No. But yeah, and then Billy, I spoke to Billy Hayes, and Billy Hayes says to me, I said to Billy, man, how much money do you think I'm going to get? He says, well, for sure, you're not going to get as much as me. That's what he said to me, man. That's what he said to me. In those days, being in a Turkish jail was really one of the worst things that could happen to you, other than a French jail. French jails had a really bad reputation in those days.
Well, now that you bring this up, I've seen I don't know all the names, but there's certain YouTube content guys that do these long form interviews that have gotten like guys like you, old time smuggler, been back in the day. Some of them did huge amounts of time and since been released. And yeah, I've heard some crazy stories. I've watched a few of these. Did
you ever hear from Black Tuna? The Black Tuna gang, Black Tuna Bobby, Colombian scammer. Man,
I think I've heard the name Black Tuna.
That was, he started the group Black Tuna. He gave all his people a gold chains with a black tuna on it. He was trying to be the Mayor Lansky of marijuana, and he got caught, and he took the fall for everybody. When he got caught and they shut down the Colombian scene, they had balloons, Air Force, Navy, everybody was on that shutting down that Colombian scene. Right after Bobby went down, you couldn't get my friends. They had an in through New Orleans, Louisiana. so they could bring fucking boatloads too. And the fucking police unloaded it and took it to the fucking warehouses. That's how connected they were in fucking Louisiana. It got crazy during those Colombian scenes, dude. There were some big, big scenes, dude. Big scenes. And when Bobby went down, that whole fucking Caribbean got shut down. They put the balloons above the Yucatan fucking right by the Yucatan Peninsula. Ugh. A lot of people went to jail. A lot of people went to jail. Yeah, I used to have 36 cars and 36
Well,
trucks.
I mean, I'll just say this. Back in that era, there was a thing called supply and demand. And a lot of times what made prices of different substances go up and crazy price was, oh, they made a bust, and that bust shut down a supply lane that, yeah, there'd be effects. Nope. Somewhere they'd open a new supply lane, and a few months later it was back up and going again. Yeah.
When Reagan was the president, it was one of the driest times for marijuana in the country.
Yeah, they definitely went after marijuana like in a crazy way that
just say no.
At it, where we are now, yeah, and they've never really given any justification for it, or like at a federal level, like said, yeah, we had it wrong, or like begrudgingly they're letting a few people out of prison, but most of them have done so much time already for like that. There's some people that got like life in federal prison for relatively small amounts of marijuana. I mean, a load, but in today's world, that's the value of that is pretty low.
Violence. The guy was in jail over 30 years and died. Never had a violent thing in his record. Never had any violence in his life, and he died in prison.
Yeah, I mean, for the few they've let out and publicized, yeah, a lot of people don't. Yeah, they fuck people over.
Yeah, I just got the original. I got the original Koatai, with the original Thai stick, and I have the original seeds from '72. And so I'm bringing that strain on that I'm hitting with a strain that I brought back from Hunza in Pakistan. So it'll be Hunza, it'll be Indica Sativa Hybrid F1. It'll be Hunza Valley, Pakistan, and fucking the Super Thai, real Thai. Speedy Thai. It's like if you smoke it, it's like you just took a shot of fucking speed. That stuff.
Okay. But all right, I know a thing or two about cannabis. Now you can't expect just to take these varieties and throw them together without like working the lines. Like they don't always mix the first time right perfectly, right? I mean, these are things to create a good strain. You have to like work the lines a little. They're not the hybrids that have already been worked. So a Thai from '72.
As a breeder, I only create F1. I have hybrids that I have worked on. That I have worked strains that like my blue Durban poison. I got a Durban, a Burmese Maui. Durban poison, things like that I do, that I have worked with strains. What I do when I pull my strains, I'll germinate hundreds of seeds and then pick out the best exact variety, the best examples. So they're all hand chosen out of many from the same strains. But when you get an F1, a true F1, when you have a true Hunza and you have a true fucking something from India that's pure, Arissa Gold, something like that, and you breed them together, you get a hybrid vigor you never get anywhere any other time. So unless you have been at that level, then you really don't know what I'm talking about. But when you're at that level, you can see the plant. It's just everything is faster, everything is bigger, everything is like, you only get that one hybrid vigor at that point.
And so in
I try
February,
to work
what's
my
the
plants as
first what's the first lines that
as
you're
little
putting
as
out?
possible. The only thing I want to do is I want to get the right combination of indica sativa.
So you said February might be when it's up and available. What are the first lines that you think you're putting out?
Good
Like the
question.
first
They'll be ready for February the 1st.
yeah, but which like they all aren't going to be available.
So there's
So
going to be about 20 or more available packed. I should have about 30, 40 ready. I'll know February the 1st. Replications and stuff. About 20. I've got the Paonia purple, which is my blue dragon, a purple blue dragon, and a purple trolley, F1. I've got an F1. I've got I have like five or six brand new F1s that I just created, and I'm in the process of creating more, and I'm in the process of replicating. My whole collection won't be fully full until around next year. Sometime like the 2025, I'll have like 100 or 200 strains, probably about over 100 at least. I had 60 strains when I went out of business, and so went into business with Seeds as Art. So I should have at least 100, 150 different, and then I've got a bunch of new stuff that I've done. So I'm gonna have
now
a
wait,
big
wait.
selection.
Seeds is art is so that's been an existing thing, or it's just created for this project, or has they been
No, that's
around?
an existing
I
thing.
got to be honest. I pay attention to all the names, and I've never heard Seeds is art. I've never heard of it.
That company has Highland High Farms has won 150 cups.
Oh.
They have a 4 farms and 4 dispensaries in Michigan, and they got the same thing in Denver, Colorado.
Are you going to be
Well,
pretty hands-on in the pheno selection of what you remember from the strains?
I'm working with them very closely. And now we're a replication. I was just down there again with them. Right now we just got all our packing and all our packaging from China. So we're getting everything packed, ready to go. We're fixing up the websites, and we're connecting my website to connect to their website, and it's all interconnecting. And so it'll be all up and running by February the 1st. And I'll have some menu up, maybe 20 to 30 different strains. And there's some strains that are in that group that are inbred lines from Pakistan, Afghanistan, from Hunza and stuff, and they're pure lines that I brought back. The Hunza line that I have is thousands of years old. That's been a line that's been going there for a long, long time, and so that's fat leaves, squat, bush type, completely different kind of plants that you're used to. So the one plant, the Bada Bazaar. I don't know if we used to do this Pakistani hash. It was black on the outside and gold on the inside, and it had seals on it. And so
I think
we used to send tons of that stuff over, and that strain from Bada and on the tribal zone. When you leave Pakistan, you're in the tribal zone, and then you go to Afghanistan. There's Landakotal, and there's Bada and Dada. Those are the hash opium bazaars and the gun bazaars. That's where they make guns there. It's a funny place because it's the kind of place where it has more is available there than is legally available in Pakistan.
well, yeah, I saw content, I think, from India, the hash bazaar, where it was like a gathering, all these different people. They basically had 5-gallon buckets of their product, and it seemed like, that was where they made the connection. They had much more than what they brought out there, and they came from all the different
In Bada
areas
and Dada, they had
once a
warehouses.
year.
In Bada and Dada and Landakotal, they had warehouses with like hundreds of tons, dude. And and how we would test our resin is we'd stick our hands in the bags and we'd press it together by hand, and then if the resin stuck together, it was fresh resin. If it didn't, it was just stayed powdery. It was old resin. That's what all that we judged. Then we'd buy our hash, and then we take it in the middle of the desert where I had like 12 guys with AK-47s watching the pressing of the hash, right? Inside that, we rented the place to press the hash from the tribal chiefs, and we went there and pressed the hash. So we paid to rent the place, but we still had to have bodyguards to come and not rip us off for 500 kilos. 500 kilos worth a couple of grand. In those days, a couple of grand was a lot of money. So I used to get shit in Pakistan for $10 a kilo to 20 if it was Afghan pollen. Okay. And so they had like a seesaw, a huge like piece of timber, and on the front of it, it had a copper, like a copper hammer, and they would use it like a seesaw and slam the thing down into a pit that had, again, a copper pit. Underneath, there were hot charcoals, would be to keep it warm. And so then they get it all warm and hot, and then they would press it, roll it into slabs. And so we stood there. One of the times I was there with my buddy Abdul, and he had his grandfather's gun that he got from a German soldier. All the Afghan army and the Pakistani army, they were all trained by the Germans during World War II, 1930s and 1940s. So you went to Afghanistan and you saw the Afghani army march. They all goose stepped, So he had a broom handle Mauser. You know what that is?
No.
It's like a pistol, but it can be made into a rifle. And so the tribal zone was was a trip, man. You had to have some connections to stay there. You just couldn't go there on your own. You had to go there with somebody. You just couldn't show up there, dude. But it could be a little bit different now. My buddy Ahmad said that nowadays the army rolls everything. So it wasn't like that when I was there. The army wasn't let in when I was there. Now the army is in. So a whole different thing has happened. You know what I mean? And that's where Osama bin Laden was. He was hiding out, and they chased him out of Tora Bora. They chased him out of Tora Bora. They let him go. He walked out of Tora Bora when they had him. The Brotherhood, they got busted in Kabul, right? And the Brotherhood, the Acid Pauly, the fucking NBC was there. It was a thing on TV and everything. And the Afghan police came in, and they saw my friend, and my friend paid him, and he went out the window. So when NBC walked into the bus, all they got was hash and posters and stuff, but they didn't get any Brotherhood people. And another friend of mine, he had a hash factory at the what the fuck is the name on fucking Chicken Street? This hotel, where Mustafa Hotel, I think. At the Mustafa Hotel, and he was up there making hash oil, and some girl came in to visit him, and she was smoking a cigarette and blew the fucking shit up, and she got killed. So they arrested him for murder. They they had him arrested for murder at the Intercontinental Hotel, right? So he tied up sheets, right, and climbed down the hotel and escaped. He made it to Pakistan. Yeah, man.
All right.
I had a great
warning.
I had a great connection in Afghanistan, man. Woo! That stuff was so good. Yeah, that flavor, that taste, that's what I miss the most out of weed and hash and all that is the flavors of all the different types. There was such a difference in flavor between an Indian hash and an Afghani hash, Lebanese hash. You know what I mean? I really like.
I really try to get you. Every time you get on, I try to get you to tell the old stories and shit. This has been a pretty decent episode.
The
We got to wrap it up in 3 minutes, boys. I let it run over for an extra 20 because the conversation's been pretty good tonight.
So you're in Michigan.
Yes, sir.
Well, I'm going to hook you up with my buddy Chaz at Seed is Art.
Right.
Yeah, Joe, the next time when you come on, I'm sure you know and experienced like really good cushes, and you could talk about the kush weeds that you found over there.
I've won 3 cups in Michigan. I used to do the medical cup at the Rooster Tail in Detroit. You know the Rooster Tail?
Never heard of it.
They used to do a medical show there. So I do the medical shows, and I'm very well known in Michigan. And I'll be happy to be back in Michigan soon because they're going to be doing a show out there next year. We'll have the entries in the cup.
Looking forward to it.
Be a judge.
I've been a judge for quite a few cups this year. Blessed to be a judge for quite a few cups. Pardon me?
High Times.
I've done 2 years, 17 and 19 High Times Cups, and I've done quite a few of the local cups. When some of the more bigger events here in Michigan in the last few years, the Gems and Genetics and Big Clouds events, and lately the Sun Grown, last week's Sun Grown competition.
Yeah, I've got perfect for Sun Grown because it's an indica sativa hybrid, F1. So they finish fast. So and then I have the real pure indicas from, and they finish like in September. You know what I mean? So it's perfect for fucking outdoor fucking Michigan plants. You know, because there's a good outdoor season there, but you just got to bring them in before they fucking chill out. I think if you have stuff there that'll finish in by the end of August, beginning of September, it's perfect. Some people keep their plants until fucking October and November there.
Shit, you could have this year very easily. You're willing to do a little tarpon. Well, boys, it's the damn song. We got to roll it out.
Have some.
Yeah.
Sorry,
guys.
I'll be in touch. Seed is Art or Grow Like Joe.
Thank you for popping in, Joe. I'm trying to turn this down. There we go. Can you hear it?
Yeah. I'll see. I'll call you back in a few days.
All right, Joe. Have a good one. Thank.
I shut off. I don't leave. Okay, leave.
Mr. Buddy, appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, it was fun. Have a good week. We'll see you next time. I'm going to sign off and listen to the song. Will you sign off? It was fun. Good night, everyone.
Have a good one. We'll see you Thursday.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode as much as I have, even though I haven't got to say much today, but it's been a fun one. With that being said, don't forget to do something nice for somebody. Random acts of kindness do save lives. And with that being said, I'll probably see you Wednesday with the fucking Talking Shit with Eagle episode. And of course, Thursday with Weed Nerd World. What's coming after will be announced. Cheers, guys. Have a wonderful evening.